So this montage was supposed to be an introduction of some of the themes that you're going to see in the film, and also a sort of perspective, introducing the perspective of it. So it's, you know, it's something that is all from Jeff's point of view, from Ed Saxon's point of view, and is establishing that. And also with the sound design, especially because there's no music in it, to be sort of an overture of all the themes that we're going to come across later. So that if it had been a musical soundtrack, that you would have had these themes brought in music, and this is just because there's no music, we tried to keep the sound design as musical as possible.
Also, speaking of themes, one of my color themes was the pink bucket, which I use the color pink throughout the movie. You'll see pink at various places, but it's really used in a very sort of stereotypical way as the world of Eve, which is Ed's wife.
So that Jeff was very proud about hitting that mark on the focus there with that hair.
Jeff was fantastic.
Jeff was really the most experienced person on this set. I mean, it's not to say that there aren't other experienced people, but he's done about 50 films, and as far as hitting marks like that, and that's the kind of thing that just experience does, and makes working that much easiher.
This living room, we should talk a little bit about the house. The windows that you're seeing here were actually plugs. In other words, the actual windows for a living room like this would be much larger. And what we had come up with as a kind of technique, a disorienting technique, was a...
Well, our original idea was to shrink the windows as the film went on, to start them off more normal,
right,
and to get smaller as they went through the film.
And of course, the constraints of repatching the wall and with new plugs and scenicking the wall, et cetera, would have made that very difficult for the AD department.
For everybody.
For scheduling, because... you know, we're shooting all out of order, and you have to then pop the windows out and replace them. So in the end, we opted for just reducing the size of the windows, closing the curtains, and you'll see here is a perfect example of a scaling thing that we did with the lamps, where there's a lamp in the distance and a lamp in the foreground. And the shadow on the lamp is wonderful because you really do get a sort of reduced sense of depth. You're not really sure how far away the wall is. We also did this with scenicking.
With glossy paint on it.
Yes, and the scenicking, you can't really tell because Chris did such an excellent job, but everything in the corners and in the ceiling fade off to a darker painted color. It's very much a theatrical effect, but we're just employing it more... you know, I think less so than would be used in theater in order to create that effect.
And also with the glossy paint, is that the walls are sort of claustrophobic, but at the same time you can't really define where they're at, and that was